plants, the green frontier. These are the discussions of the podcast Horticult. Its continuing mission to talk about strange new cultivars, to seek out new flowers and plant them, to boldly garden like no one has before. What's up, everybody? This is Beef Flame for the Horticult, episode 63, Selecting Fruit Trees. On this episode of the podcast, we had a special guest, Alex Grover, come in from Tri-City Nursery to talk to us about fruit trees. So we went over different things, how to choose good fruit trees, when to prune fruit trees, what to think about in your environment, in your yard, to select a good tree, ways to get that information. If you have questions, who to ask. He came from it from a nursery standpoint, so he is the one who answers questions from people. So he actually kind of breaks it down, and you can see that how he puts himself in the customer's shoes, better fit a fruit tree to your yard. And he was a lot of fun to talk to. Let's get it on. I'm Blaine.
And I am B-Rad.
And we are the Horticult. Thanks for coming along for the ride. On this episode of the Horticult, we're going to talk about fruit trees. And we have a special guest. Alex, how are you today?
Just fine, guys.
Great. We're so happy to have you.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we brought you along because I got to meet you through the green conferences on Facebook groups that you have. And you're currently one of the sales reps at Tri-City South.
Tri-City South and Pleasant Grove.
Yeah. We just wanted to get a little background from you so people can kind of get to know you a little bit. So
basically I'm a fraud. I pretend I have a degree and act like I know stuff, and people believe it. My background goes kind of way deep. My grandpa was the county ag agent in Oneida County, Idaho. And when he retired, he moved down to Provo, and I lived in Utah County, so I had the great opportunity of tagging along. And he was more than happy to teach me everything I could. And then I got older, and I did some other stuff, and I realized that I could not just get a degree in ag, I could actually get one in horticulture, which is garden growing. It's Latin for garden growing. And for a guy that doesn't want to work on a big farm behind a desk, that was a great compromise where I could do a lot of the growing and a lot of the stuff that an old-timey farmer would do, but I don't have to go and work on one of these huge mega farms and lose my soul. I graduated in 2002, and that was nearing the end of the horticulture program at BYU. Now they have landscape management, and it's got some of the same core, but the people I talk to now almost routinely say, I want more science, I want more science. And, of course, realizing, when you graduate with a degree in horticulture and probably anything else, it's just the beginning. If you do not continue to learn and study and grow, you may have a job and you may do the job and be fine, but if your brain atrophies, that's your fault. There is no way that a 4-year degree, even if you focused all 4 years on it, could teach you what you need to know. You've got to step up, and that is the key to being a good plant guy or a good plant gal. The best people I know in the business are constantly trying to learn. They're not satisfied with what they learned in college.
So persistent learning even after graduation, and then experience, right? That's going to be a big part of the learning process.
Yeah, experience comes in because you run into something and you go, you might have read about it or seen it in school, but until you see it on the ground.
When I was meeting with you at your nursery at Tri-City South, you let me know that your favorite thing is fruit trees.
My favorite things are generally just, plants. No. It's one of the things that I've done a lot of work in, and I've gotten to study it and know it fairly well. There's still more to learn. Fruit trees are really one of the funner things to do. You combine your science and your design, your science and your art. Both sides of your brain are working together, And because of that, it's, I think, particularly satisfying.
So just a quick question on that. So you're interested in fruit trees from the beginning, from the planting part of it, all the way on up through all of the pruning stages, and just being knowledgeable in diseases and susceptible varieties and things like that. Is that?
Yeah, I don't know every disease in the book. When it comes to fruit trees, a lot of times you've got a disease, and the answer is you got a disease.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter what the name is because I can't treat it. I can't say, oh, this has, fire blight. This is how I'm going to chemically treat it, or this is, I'm going to put it on physical therapy to get rid of it. The only option I've got once it's infected is to prune it out. I can put preventatives on it, which I don't necessarily recommend because they cause bacterial resistance to antibiotics. We all know that's a problem. We need to avoid that easy. Oh, this is going to be the answer.
Yeah. Well, as like the end all solution. I mean, it might be good to use in with other cultural practices. So pruning out.
And pruning actually is one of the key things also because it prevents a lot of the disease. When you're pruning, you have the opportunity to look at this tree and say, hey, buddy, I'm going to do you a favor for next year. We're going to get you some ventilation and some sunlight to fight these diseases. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's where your disease prevention really starts, I think. Well, it actually really starts in choosing where you plant your tree. But if you plant right, then after that, pruning is, you prevent a lot of stuff.
Yeah, what would you say like to a listener if they want a fruit tree? Maybe they don't know how to identify those diseases and the pruning practices and all that stuff. What would be a tree that you would recommend if they want a fruit tree?
The biggest thing that you have to deal with is people want what they want. Okay, the most popular fruit tree by far right now in Utah are peaches, and that's probably been that way for decades and decades. People want peaches. They want peaches. They want peaches. Well, okay, if you're going to get a peach, then you're going to have certain issues you have to deal with. You're going to get borers. It's going to happen. I know a local horticulturalist who swears by planting chives at the base of the tree because it interferes with the smell. I don't know if that's been scientifically proven yet, but it should work.
Well, and that's a relatively inexpensive way to find out if it does work, right?
Well, if it doesn't work, you know what the downside is? You got fresh chives.
Yeah, that's a win-win.
So, me
too.
And when I plant my peach trees at my place this year, and this year I've decided is going to be the year of the peach at my place because I haven't got any yet.
That's my question, though. What does your yard look like? What do you have? What kind of fruit trees do you have? I mean, how big is it? 5 acres, 10 acres?
Slightly under a quarter acre.
Okay.
So my yard is chaos right now. An apricot tree in back that goes under the power lines going into my house. That's got to come out.
Oh, dang. I love apricot trees.
Oh, so do I. And I keep on looking at this. And maybe I can save this tree by, and I'm like, dude, this is nearly a 40-year-old apricot tree. It's not going to stay small even with all the work I put into it because it already knows how to be big. And if I were to replant that, I could keep that at 12 feet, maybe 16 feet, not a problem. Mm-hmm. 2 of the 3 trees that I got when I moved into the house, they've got to go.
And so this is the year of the peach.
This is the year of the peach. I'm going to plant peaches. I'm going to finish taking my walnut out. Hopefully I'll be able to get to the apricot and on both of these trees. So, and then the one remaining tree I have is right on top of the sewer line. And the apricot's under a power line. Your first thing is placement. And you have to know your spot. We're down here in Vineyard, and this can be a tough area where all the cold air from the county sinks down here in the areas around the lake. So here, you may not be able to do what I can do even in American Fork, which is, I'm in a low spot in American Fork, but I'm still just that much higher. Mm-hmm. You may struggle with your apricots. You may struggle with some of your peaches. You'll probably struggle if you try almonds. Okay, apples are going to work here. Pears will work here. Cherries will work here. Peaches, probably be careful and start with one that's a really late bloomer. Red Haven. or Reliance are the two that are going to be late bloomers. Now, you see how this is we're talking about a whole range of knowledge. Okay, you got to know something about your area. You got to know something about the fruit you want, what you can expect. You need to know your wind patterns, and then you need to start knowing something about fruit trees. Now, the great thing is there's help. County Extension Agency. You'll call, and they can answer most of your common questions. You go into your local nursery. Now, not all nurseries are equal. And you're patient, especially in May when it's the busiest month. They will do their best to find somebody that can help you out. If you come down to Tri-City, ask about fruit. If I'm in that day, I'll be directed to you. In May, I may be a while because I'm busy. There's one of me, and a lot of times I've got to work with 3 or 4 or 5 different clients. Then again, if you come in October, you'll have my undivided attention most of the time. Mm-hmm. So finding a good nursery who's going to be able to answer the questions and willing to answer the questions is a big deal. That's one way you do it. And I'm going to be honest, one of the great learning tools of our age in gardening is Facebook. Now, if you come down to Tri-City, and I don't know if the other nurseries carry these, so I have to say Tri-City. If you come down to Tri-City and say, I want an apple tree, I'm going to say, okay, how much space you got? I don't know. I don't have a lot of space. I mean, okay, you got space that's 3 by 3? Yeah. How's the sunlight? Oh, it's full sun. How's the air movement? Is it like in a? Well, no, it's okay. It's I've got these lower, but I've got this space. It's got air. It's got sunlight. Okay, I've got an apple tree for you. I specifically keep columnar apple trees. Well, if you got a 3 by 3 area that gets the sunlight, gets the air movement, I can get you an apple tree.
Yeah, I've never columnar, huh? I've never even seen
baby.
one.
Oh yeah.
Come down to the nursery.
That's
I'll
cool.
indoctrinate. Share it with you.
So now, real quick. So at Tri-City, great customer service. Question I had for you is, and you've got massive variety of different things. Do you carry by chance the espaliered?
Oh yeah, I've got espalier apples. In fact, I was looking at one today, thinking, I didn't get the fall pruning done. Actually, I think I did prune it twice in the summer, but it's not showing it now. But yeah, we carry
Very
those.
Cool.
I try and make sure I have a certain amount every year.
Good.
I am limited on the varieties that are available.
So, and you have multiple varieties of apples on that?
That depends.
Okay.
I'm kind of picky on my varieties. In espaliers, I've got one vendor who will just send me, it's an espalier apple, it's multiple varieties. You'll know when you get it.
Oh, nice.
Sweet.
It's the surprise.
And, there are a lot of apple varieties that do well in Utah. Mm-hmm. But I like a little bit better control on that because if it's got a Red Delicious on it, first of all, you've only got 3 worthwhile apple varieties. If you've got something that ripens too late, you've only got really 3 apple varieties, plus a crab apple, because that's all you're going to, it's not going to ripen.
Yeah.
It's not going to be usable.
Yeah.
I get a certain amount of those a year, but again, I'm very limited because it is a specialty item.
Yeah.
If I could grow them myself up to size, but that's a lot of time and labor.
I was thinking about, too, there at Tri-City. You do the pruning. You prune those trees. And do you have a crew that helps you, or are you out there doing it all yourself?
When I get fruit trees in, unless they're hideous, the way my nursery was set up is they were set up to have tree in, tree out. We're the ones that talk to the big nurseries in the Northeast, bring in the trees, and then we sell the trees. We're a broker, basically, because we know what we do. And what we do well is we do trees, we do perennials, and we do shrubs. One thing I learned when I was young in this industry is we're all in it together. And if we're all a cutthroat business, then that's not doing anybody any good.
No.
I mean, now, you want me to really get cutthroat? Don't buy at Home Depot. Don't buy at Walmart. Don't go to Lowe's or I'll hate you. No, I mean, they're really the worst competition because they buy in such big lots. I can't touch their pricing.
I remember one time at Marinda asking to buy some poinsettias, and our numbers were in the hundreds, 8 or so hundred poinsettias, which I kind of thought was a lot, but apparently that's nothing compared to what we grow. But the cool thing is that I am a grower. I mean, that's that's my expertise.
No.
Say if you're at a nursery or looking for to get a fruit tree, and what are some things you should look for in a new tree? Say if there's not you there to talk to.
Yeah. One thing I think you have to remember is you're going to prune that when you plant it. Keep in mind that it may not be perfect when you're looking at it at the nursery, but